writing in my spare time. When I'm older, I really want to be an architect and interior designer.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Namhan. I am 13 years old. I am currently in the second year of high school in Edinburgh, and I am passionate about history and fiction, and I want to be a politician when I grow up.
Hello, my name is Zaidan. I am 15 years old. I am currently S4 at Edinburgh. I am passionate about history and wanted to become a historian in the future and maybe a space engineer as my second job. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Raisa. I'm 12 years old and I'm in year 7, meaning I just started out in secondary school. I have a wide variety of hobbies, spanning from playing video games on a computer to writing stories about fiction and fantasy and adventure, which is my favorite book genre. When I'm older, I aspire to be a multitude of things, ranging from being an author, writing fiction books and fantasy and adventure like the ones I currently like to write, to becoming a neurosurgeon who help to operate on people's brains, and because I like helping people.
Hi, I'm Aisha. I'm 13 and I love to learn about humanity like history, Ori, and geography. I still don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up, but I plan on having a career where I help people, and I want to continue my education. Bye.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Pak Yoyo.
Selamat siang, very good afternoon.
Gimana kabarnya? How are you, Pak Yoyo?
Baik. Pak. Ada juga Pak Kasan, tapi lagi join audio. Pak Dali juga ada, tinggal nunggu Pak Desra ini.
Ya, selamat datang Pak Hasan. Pak Dali udah masuk ya? Udah.
Pak Dali sudah.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. This event will be organized or present to you by the young KIBAR youth of them. So Alpha and Rahma will be our moderator today, and Faiz will be our host. So all of the KIBAR youths will be involved in the event. Saya hanya operator saja.
Itu Pak Suhendri, I am observer saja.
Iya.
WhatsApp ini, WhatsApp.
Udah.
Mana WhatsAppnya di sini mana?
Enggak, belum itu. Dia pakai link tadi.
Selamat datang Bu Nurul. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Setelah ke pembicara yang lain, saya jadikan co-host ya Bu ya. Nanti siapa tahu ada share yang perlu slide yang perlu di-share.
Oh, ya. Ini suaranya nggak apa-apa kan ya? Baik-baik aja.
Ya, oke ya. Pak Himawan.
Apa-apa maksudnya? Pakai backgroundnya ada Ibu? Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pak Desra, selamat datang Pak.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih sudah meluangkan waktunya untuk sharing dengan remaja.
Oh, senang sekali.
KIBAR Youth, ya.
Saya kan juga lulusan KIBAR nih, alumni KIBAR.
Alhamdulillah. Ya.
Dulu kalau paling seneng tuh kalau winter gathering tuh kan ngeruntel dingin. Tapi di Leicester, saya nggak tahu kalau sekarang di mana biasanya.
Terakhir 2019 di Manchester, Pak.
Oh.
Setelah itu kan pandemi, jadi belum ada lagi yang offline gathering gitu.
Oh, oke.
Jadi kita juga tahun ini merencanakan ya masih worst case scenario, mungkin kalaupun ada online ya KIBAR gatheringnya nanti autumn, belum kebayang juga bentuk gatheringnya.
Bu Dokter, apa kabar Bu Dokter? Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Pokoknya yang senyumnya menenangkan pasti Bu Dokter.
Bu Dokter Nurul.
Iya, kan ada dua.
Ya, ada. Gimana kabarnya Pak Desra?
Alhamdulillah baik Bu Dia.
Alhamdulillah.
Kalau Ibu Nurul di mana?
Di Arizona.
Wow, di States.
Iya.
Jam berapa?
Iya Pak. Jam 6 pagi.
Sudah subuh?
Baru subuh.
Sholat dulu mungkin.
Oh, udah. Terima kasih Pak.
Arizona ini ya, nggak jauh ke Grand Canyon ya?
Iya.
Iya.
Nggak kena itu yang apa? Yang storm dingin dari
winter storm.
Texas.
Di sini hangat selalu.
Hangat selalu.
Kayaknya stormnya di East Coast ya, Bu ya?
Iya.
Pak Fadjar sudah masuk, saya sudah jadikan co-host. Saya belum menemukan Pak Himawan ya di.
Pak Himawan, coba saya text ya.
Mungkin sambil menunggu partisipan yang lain, saya putarkan kembali video trailernya. Trailer KIBAR Youth ya, coba.
Baik banget.
Hi, my name is Nabila, and I like drawing and I like reading. I'm not sure what I want to be when I grow up, but I have an interest in sociology and RE, so maybe something along those lines.
Hello, my name is Isma. I live in London. I'm 12 years old and my hobby is drawing. It will be cool to do that as a job one day.
Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm 13 years old. My favorite hobbies are painting and drawing, and I also like to do a lot of writing in my spare time. When I'm older, I really want to be an architect or an interior designer.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Namhan. I am 13 years old. I am currently in the second year of high school in Edinburgh, and I am passionate about history and fiction, and I want to be a politician when I grow up.
Hello, my name is Zaidan. I am 15 years old. I am currently S4 at Edinburgh. I am passionate about history and wanted to become a historian in the future and maybe a space engineer as my second job. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Raisa. 12 years old and I'm in year 7, meaning I just started out in secondary school. I have a wide variety of hobbies, spanning from playing video games on a computer to writing stories about fiction and fantasy and adventure, which is my favorite book genre. When I'm older, I aspire to be a multitude of things, ranging from being an author, writing fiction books and fantasy and adventure like the ones I currently like to write, to becoming a neurosurgeon who help to operate on people's brains, and because I like helping people.
Hi, I'm Aisha. I'm 13 and I love to learn about humanity like history, RE, and geography. I still don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up. But I plan on having a career where I help people, and I want to continue my education.
Bagus ya ininya apa?
Yeah. Dari
Teasernya very good.
Yeah. Made by our youth.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe some of them are here as well.
And most of them they speak very good and fluent English, unlike us.
Yeah. Like native speaker.
Yeah, very true.
Faiz, shall we start now or wait a little longer for more audience?
Yeah.
I think it's already 50 people here, so maybe we can start now.
Okay, inshallah.
I hand it over to Faiz as our host. Thank you for all the speakers that give their time for this talk to share with our youth in the UK. Hopefully this will be helpful for them to develop their career in the future. I hand it over to Faiz. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So we're going to start with the dua to start the meeting. In alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastahdihi wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarika lahu khalaqal mauta wal hayata liyabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amalan wa huwa ala kulli syai'in qadir wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh wa safiyyuhu min khalqihi wa habibuh ballagha risalata an rabbihi wa addal amana an maulahu wa jahada fillahi haqqa jihadihi hatta atahul yakin. Salawatu rabbi wa salamuhu alihi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man ihtada bihadihi ila yawma yaqumun nasu li rabbil alamin. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He has allowed us to live and worship Him in these times of distress. We ask Him for forgiveness for our sins in the past and our sins in the future. I ask Him that He forgives us and myself and allows us to live in the most sinless life possible. I ask Him that He allows us to live long and healthy lives and allow us to live in peace from diseases such as corona and allow our family to have the same treatment. My name is Faiz and I'm in year 12 in Watford Grammar School for Boys in Watford, UK. And I would like to say salam and to thank our speakers for their time to share their wisdom and experience. To His Excellency Mr. Desra Percaya, Captain Fadjar Nugroho, Dr. Nurul Itqiyah, and Mr. Himawan Nugroho. Also, salam to all my brothers and sisters from all over the world who have kindly joined us today. And before we start our discussion, I would like to invite Brother Rafir, who is in year 12 at Reading School in Reading, UK, to read the Quran so that our meeting is blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will be reading Surat Al-Kahfi ayat 9 to 16 inshallah and its translation.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Rafir. I'm year 12, and today I'll be reading Surat Al-Kahfi from ayat 9 till 16. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا فضربنا على آذانهم في الكهف سنين عددا ثم بعثناهم لنعلم أي الحزبين أحصى لما لبثوا عمدا نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى وربطنا على قلوبهم إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا هؤلاء قومنا اتخذوا من دونه آلهة لولا يأتون عليهم بسلطان بين فمن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا وإذا اعتزلتموهم وما يعبدون إلا الله فأووا إلى الكهف ينشر لكم ربكم من رحمته ويهيئ لكم من أمركم مرفقا. The translation of the verses are as, or do you think the fellows of the cave and the inscription were of our wonderful signs? When the youth sought refuge in the cave, they said, Our Lord, grant us mercy from thee, and provide for us a right course on our fare. So we prevented them from hearing in the cave for a number of years. Then we raised them up that we might know which of the two parties was best able to compute the time for which they remained. We relate to you their story with the truth. Surely they were youth who believed in their Lord, and we increased them in guidance. And we strengthened their hearts with patience when they stood up and said, Our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth. We will by no means call upon any God besides him, for then indeed we should have said an extravagant thing. These are people have taken gods besides him. Why do they not produce any clear authority in their support? Who is then more unjust than he who forges a lie against Allah? And when you forsake them and what they worship save Allah, betake yourselves for refuge to the cave. Your Lord will extend to you largely of his mercy and provide for you a profitable course in your affair. Walaikum salam.
MashaAllah and Jazakallah khair, Brother Rafir, for reading the Quran. May bless this discussion and increase our iman and inspire all of us as the Muslim youth to strive to be the best and the agent of the change for the better world. Before I hand it over to the moderators to start the talk, I would like to ask anyone to write questions in the chat as we go along, as we will be having a question and answer session at the end of this talk. Now, I would like to introduce our moderators today who will lead the talk. The first one is Brother Alpha, who is a second year in the University of Bristol in Bristol, UK. And Sister Rahma, who is currently doing a master's degree in the University of the West of England, and also in Bristol, UK. Rahma and Alpha, the microphone is yours.
Thank you very much, Faiz. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you all for joining us. So everyone from all over the world, predominantly UK, but we welcome, of course, everyone. And thank you as well to our speakers who have joined us today, who have committed their time. So we really appreciate it. And hopefully you can share some experiences and some real insight with these young people who are going to be, inshallah, the future of this ummah. So without further ado, let's, in fact, I'll introduce a little bit about how this is going to work, this discussion part. So inshallah, we'll start with the 4 speakers. They'll have around about 10 minutes each to present their experiences. And after that, we'll have a Q&A session. So yes, like Faiz already said, please type in your answers, your questions, sorry, into the chat box. And ideally as well, direct it at the specific speaker that you want the answer to. So any questions at all, don't be shy. We expect lots of questions from you. Just type them in as we talk. And then in the Q&A session, we'll hopefully be able to direct those questions and hopefully get some insightful answers, inshallah. Okay, so the first person that we would like to share the experience with is His Excellency Dr. Desra Percaya, who is the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Indonesia to the United Kingdom and Ireland. Thank you very much for joining us. So can I call you Pak Desra from here on?
No, Om Desra.
Om Desra. Thank you very much. Okay, Om Desra, thank you very much for joining us. He is the current Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Indonesia to the United Kingdom, like I said. He has, prior to this, he has spent as the ambassador to the Republic of Indonesia to the United Nations in New York. And prior to that, the Deputy Permanent Representative of the Republic of Indonesia to the UN in Geneva. He has studied in Durham University and Birmingham University, which are 2 British universities many of you will have heard of, and also a bachelor's degree from Airlines, Indonesia. So without further ado, please, Om Desra, share some of your experiences, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brother Auva. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, selamat pagi, selamat malam, salam 24 jam, dan juga salam sehat untuk anak-anakku semua. Let me start in Bahasa Indonesia, then I will speak in English later on. Alhamdulillah, kita diberi kesempatan dan rezeki sehat oleh Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala untuk bertemu meskipun secara virtual. Health is very important. Mari kita terus berdoa dan juga saling mendoakan agar selalu sehat dan agar pandemi bisa segera teratasi dengan baik. Terima kasih KIBAR UK telah mengundang saya untuk hadir dalam acara ini. Your invitation is a must for me. It's like an instruction. Why? Because I'm proudly often saying that I'm also a KIBAR UK alumni. I enjoy very much the winter gathering in Leicester and Manchester, etc. So I think it has been a pleasure meeting you all. We are now living in a very strange and unprecedented situation caused by pandemic COVID-19. Definitely, it's not easy for all of you, each one of you, to study online during lockdown. We have never experienced this, and we can only say, well, yes, difficult, challenging, but you know better than us. But inshallah, we are going to pass through this difficult time. Don't forget to always maintain your health condition. It's very important. Always pray 5 times a day. Pray for your parents, your teacher, brothers, and sisters. Don't forget that one. At the same time, always comply with the health protocol. Now, Aufa has introduced me as Desra. Call me Om Desra or Uncle Desra. Yes, I'm Ambassador of Indonesia to the United Kingdom, Ireland, and International Organization Maritime based in London. Now, what is the job of an ambassador? Basically, the first one is representing Indonesia in the UK, Ireland, and IMO. Second, protecting here Indonesian interests, including Indonesian citizens, within or permitted within international law. Thirdly, negotiating with UK and Ireland and within IMO for our interests, economic, trade, investment, and including our national citizens and also education. Then trying to get the information about what is going on, what is happening in the UK, and then report back to the capital. And lastly, I have to promote friendly relations between Indonesia and UK. I think through various way of culture, education, think tank, etc. Now the question is how I end up becoming an ambassador. Let me share first my life. I was born in Malang, a small city in East Java, and I came from a modest family consisting of 11 siblings. Can you imagine now? I have 10 siblings. So from the very beginning, for me, it's about survival and struggling. I have to compete quote unquote, with my brother and sister. A very challenging time. Even I can share with you that there was a time when basically at home, we didn't have any food. And then I asked my mom, I'm hungry. Then what my mom said, go to sleep and inshallah, when you wake, there will be food. And alhamdulillah, Allah gave us the way. There was a food. But I am very proud to say that since the very beginning, my parents have taught me about the value of Islam, being a Muslim, regardless whatever you are going to do, whatever you are doing now. And stay away from acts that are forbidden by the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him. This is very important. You have to hold strong to your value. Does it mean that I'm good when I was a kid? No. Like many others, I was also naughty. I remember very well. Sometimes I steal my neighbor's banana, jambu, from their garden. I'm a normal kid. And there was also a funny story. Every Ramadan, I think this is the month that we were very much looking forward to having a fasting for 1 month. And Taraweeh. Every night during Taraweeh, I always went to the mosque. You know why? Because right after Taraweeh, there will be plenty food, snacks. We were always hungry. Being a kid, very energetic, we want to eat more and more. Then being a kid, being a child, I did naughty things. I tripped the carrier of the snacks. I tripped his legs. He fell over. And as a result of that, the food was scattered on the floor. Then I grabbed a lot of food, more food. So I think at least I was a normal kid like many of you as well. What was my dream? When I was small, I wanted to be a soldier like my father. They look strong, smart, and cool in uniform. As I grew older, I changed my dream of being a medical doctor. That's why I envy to see Dr. Dia and Dr. Nurul. I didn't manage. I wasn't smart enough. Maybe I was not doing good in school. But then when I finished my high school in Sidoarjo, small city, southern part of Surabaya, I was accepted at FISIP, Airlangga University, Social Political Science Faculty. And before finishing my study, I think because of, my record was good, my academic record was good, I was already accepted to work in Kemlu. Then during my career, I think I've been very fortunate to be posted in Geneva and in New York, 2 times in Geneva and 2 times in New York. And my last position was Director General for Asia, Pacific, and Africa, including Middle East. I was responsible to look after 114 countries. It has never come to my wildest dream that I would one day visit the country that you have never heard, Samoa, Micronesia, Solomon Island, Tuvalu, Fiji. So I think those are the countries, let alone countries in Africa and Middle East. Meeting new friends, learning other cultures and languages. So I think to be an ambassador, you have to work at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and be diplomat, or you are appointed directly by president to be an ambassador as a political appointee. If you want to be diplomat, if you want to be an ambassador, then you are supposed to study law, economics, politics or international law, and literature. Have I ever been dream of becoming an ambassador? Not at all. I didn't have any clue what was a diplomat is, what was the diplomat like, what was an ambassador. But at least I was amazed by our founding fathers, Bung Karno, Sukarno. I was also amazed by dignitaries like Adam Malik, Ruslan Abdul Ghani, Haji Agus Salim. So I think from time to time, you keep changing. Don't forget, always be thankful to God. Whatever you have, be thankful and do always your best. You never know what lies ahead. If you cannot be a medical doctor like me, do not get frustrated. Don't lose hope. Continue working hard, and you don't know, opportunity might come. However, there are important attitudes that need to be cultivated and maintained through time, no matter what is your dream. First, sense of curiosity and critical thinking. Never stop asking why. Even there was one funny story. My mom from Bandung, my dad from Surabaya, but I was born in Malang in East Java. I was just wondering at that time, I asked my father why my name was Desra Percaya, because sounds very strange. There is no O, while all my friends in East Java, most of them use the O, right? Then at that time, I asked my father, Dad, can I change my name? What do you want to be? I want my name to be changed as Joko Warsito. Then my father was giggling. No. This is the name. It's a good name, more or less representing Asia-Africa Friendship Association, because I was born in the month of April. Then jokingly, if my father has agreed for me to change my name, I would have become the president of Indonesia instead of Joko Widodo. So I think this is jokingly, but no matter what, I strongly believe parents would always give name because of the dream, aspiration, and also good expectation. Second, the habit of reading. It is very important, right? Habit of reading. Third, practice your writing and thinking systematically. You don't only say for the sake of saying things, but make sure that it has the meaning and it has to come with a very concrete, good, systematic. Fourth, try hard to understand and comprehend instead of memorizing things. No, because when you memorize things, you remember now, but tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, you could easily forget. Just try to understand. Fifth, making friends and make yourself known. That's also very important. Use social media responsibly. Don't always upload everything which you think is very important. Think through. Think first, because you have to be responsible in using social media. 6, learning about foreign language. English alone is not enough. I learned English when I was in the secondary school, but I knew it. My English was not good enough. I took a course and also I took a French lesson. That's why English is not enough. You have to have one more or two more, perhaps, added value that would help. If you speak French, you speak Arabic, you speak Chinese, or any languages, that will be a great advantage for you. 7, have always a positive energy. Don't ever claim you are smart. Let others judge you. Always do your best, lending hands and working hard. 8, and the last one, have a healthy lifestyle and hobby, either sport or music. I play saxophone, I like football, I like cycling, I support Arsenal. Although I know Arsenal is not doing well, but still, I'm supporting Arsenal. This is about heart. This would help you to have a hobby and also healthy lifestyle. Again, from time to time, look at those points, not exhausted. I think there are many other points as well, but look again, that is very important. What else? Education is always important and it will help the path of your career. Undergrad is not enough. Have a plan for a master degree and even PhD. That would certainly help your career. I am proud, certainly, in succeeding to get my master degree and from Birmingham University, PhD from Durham University, but it was not done without sacrifice. I was working as a cleaner, as a janitor in Marks and Spencer to make ends meet. I'm proud to say it because at that time it was very hard, very tough, even to perform a prayer subuh, Fadjar. It wasn't easy because Imsak was not there yet. So I think working hard, very important, stand strong to the values that you are holding. And Alhamdulillah, I have never touched alcohol, and yet I succeeded to become an ambassador. Yes, in the diplomatic community, wine is a normal thing, but if you stand very strong with your position that I'm sorry, I don't drink, don't worry, they will respect you. And this is also a good profession to do shi'ar about Islam, about the value of Islam. So I think the other thing, don't forget to ask your parents' dua and blessing, especially your mom. And finally, I do really hope that short story about mine will give you an idea how to be, and if you want to be a diplomat, if you want to be an ambassador. And I do sincerely hope that, let's say, within 10, 20 years, I will see one of you becoming a diplomat or even becoming an ambassador. And I am very happy, certainly, to take questions from you. If time does not permit, I am also having the Instagram at Desra Percaya. Direct message me, and inshallah, I'll do my utmost to reply to each of the direct message. Thank you very much. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Desra. That was very insightful, very inspiring. Thank you very much. And just to remind everyone here that at some point in time, Desra was a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, however old you are. And it means that you can become anyone you like to be. So you just, I guess, have the faith, have the iman that Allah will, inshallah, guide you if you ask for it. Allah will sustain you, inshallah, if you ask for it, and if you believe in Allah's mercy. And yes, so anyone can become absolutely anyone. And you can go as far as you like in life, as you can see, even from very humble origins. So it's very inspiring. Thank you very much, Desra. Okay, so yes, just a reminder that if you have any questions, which I'm sure you do, please write them in the chat, and do not be shy. Okay, so I think I would like to pass on to Rahma now to probably introduce the next speaker. Yes, keep typing questions. Don't be shy about that.
Thank you, Alpha. Thank you, Desra. Our next speaker is Bapak Fadjar Nugroho, also known as Captain Fadjar Nugroho. He is currently a captain pilot, instructor, and type rating examiner for several Airbus aircraft, including A350 for Qatar Airways, and is also the website founder of ilmuterbang.com. He will now share some of his experiences with us. Bapak Fadjar Nugroho, would you like us to call us Bapak Fadjar Nugroho or anything else? Bapak Fadjar Nugroho. Unfortunately, we can.
Ya.
Yes, thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih yang terhormat Pak Desra dan Mbak Nurul, Mbak Dia, Pak Himawan, dan yang lain, Mbak Rahma. Terima kasih atas kesempatannya. Saya kebetulan punya grup namanya ilmuterbang.com di Facebook, semua panggilannya pakai Om. Jadi saya ikut-ikut Pak Desra aja deh, bisa panggil Om Fadjar. Jadi begitu ceritanya, dan saya bingung. Ini presentasinya harus bahasa Inggris ya. Jadi saya akan ini aja presentasi dengan saya ada presentation tentang karir di dunia penerbangan. Secara singkat, saya sendiri sekarang ada di Doha, Qatar. Sekarang pukul 4:30 sore. Jadi selamat siang, selamat pagi, selamat malam kepada semuanya. Lalu langsung saja saya coba share screen ya untuk presentasinya.
Silahkan Om.
Wah, ternyata mohon maaf karena ternyata Zoom-nya baru di bisa atau ini sepertinya Zoom saya stuck. Sebentar. Oke. Apakah sudah terlihat?
Sudah Om, terima kasih.
Sudah ya. Baik. Prefer pakai bahasa Inggris atau bahasa Indonesia?
Bisa mix Om, terserah.
English, okay, mix all of the languages. I'm trying my best to speak English because, you know, I didn't prepare my presentation in English, but okay, we started, and I started my education with university in Jakarta. Actually, it's not really in Jakarta; it's in Depok, near Jakarta, suburb of Jakarta. 1990s, I believe most of you even haven't born yet at 1990s. So, if somebody asked me if it was my cita-cita gitu to be pilot, it was when I was a boy. I want to be doctor, I want to be pilot, anything. But in the end, when I graduated from high school, it was not even coming to my mind to be a pilot. So I went to this university and took the computer engineering degree until 1995. Meanwhile, in the middle of the university, when I was studying there, one of my friend was a glider pilot, and he asked me if I want to join to be a glider pilot. And then since then, I started to know the aviation word, which bring me to bring me to a hobby of flying with gliders. But then I continued my career as junior programmer with Bina Surya Group, 1994. And in 1995, I had the chance to go to a flying school in Texas. It's called Southwind Academy, but it was now the school collapsed, so there is no school. There is no Southwind anymore. Then after I finished my school in Texas, and it took only about 4 months because I had some experience before I joined the school, and actually the school had a program of 10 months. So I just want to a little bit emphasize that flying school normally will take around 10 months to 1.5 years, depend on the location you choose. And then 1996 to 1998, I joined a company called Simpati Air. Unfortunately, it collapsed in 1998, so it's not there anymore. I joined as a first officer, Fokker 100 and Fokker 70. And in 1998, you can ask your parents, but it was economic crisis. Most of the company collapsed, including the Simpati Air. So I didn't do anything. I mean, I didn't fly for like almost 4 years, sorry, until 2002. And I did anything if Desra was doing some job like become a cleaner. At that time, we sold, sandal jepit. My wife and I was selling sandal jepit, just to survive at the time. And then we can continue to 1999. I did some job in a company called Swire McLean. And then in the year 2000, I became an IT manager of TUV Rhineland. Everything a little bit coming back better than before. So I went back to IT business before I became a pilot again. That's the story of the IT. And then in 2002, which is 4 years after the first company I worked for as a pilot, I started again to be a pilot as a Boeing 737 first officer. And then the company again, it's collapsed because for many reasons. Then I joined the Batavia Air. Probably most of you know this airline before, but again, after several years, the company collapsed as well. But way before the company collapsed, I went to Qatar. I applied to be a pilot with Qatar Airways. So I joined in Qatar Airways in 2004 as a first officer, Airbus 320. This time I started to fly only Airbus. So I became a first officer of 320. Then they transferred me to Airbus 330. And I became a captain in Airbus 330, which is a wide body aircraft. And then after I became a captain, they nominated me as an instructor. And a couple of years later, they nominated me as a type rating examiner. It means that anybody who wants to be or assigned to be a pilot in 330 should be checked by an examiner, and now I'm one of the examiner in Qatar. And then they transferred me to Airbus 340, probably for you who likes to observe airplanes. This is one of the, not as big as Airbus 380, but Airbus 340 is one of the big aircraft with 4 engines and long haul. And then finally, from 2016 and present, it went too far. I became a 350 also. So at the moment, Qatar Airways doesn't fly Airbus 330 anymore. So at the moment I'm flying Airbus 350, which is one of the most sophisticated aircraft in the world, along with Boeing 787, for example. Yeah. And then this short story about myself, why I ended up in Qatar as a pilot. And now I'm trying to have a presentation of the career in aviation, because a lot of people only everybody knows pilot, everybody knows cabin crew, but little do people know, a lot of people at the background who makes an airplane operating from one place to the other place. So, first of all, most of you, I believe, you are familiar with this job, cabin crew, and the main job of the cabin crew is to make sure the safety in the cabin is observed. So a lot of people think cabin crew's job is to serve the passengers, which is not really correct. Their main job is to make sure that your safety is you are at the your flight is safe. Yeah. And then the other job people don't really know is the air traffic controller. They of course they control all the traffic. They so all the aircraft doesn't have a conflict during flight. And behind a flight, there is always a dispatcher or flight operation officer who calculates the load, who calculates the fuel, who prepared the weather report and all of the information required for a pilot. And the next job is mechanic. The mechanic or engineer, they prepare, they maintain the aircraft to be fit to fly. Okay. And this is also, if you've been in the airport and you see some of the security, actually the security in the airport, they have their own qualification, they have their own certificate. I don't know if it's certificate or license, but they have to have their own training for the aviation. Yeah. The next job is loadmaster. This is the people who calculate the load. They have to make sure the load is balanced in the aircraft. Otherwise, even on the ground, the aircraft can tip over because if they put it in the wrong position, and even if they put the wrong seating of the passengers. Yeah. And then the next one is the flight surgeon. I think Dr. Nurul or Dr. Dia knows more than me about how to be a flight surgeon. They are the one who examine the pilots and cabin crew, or even the engineers and the ATC. Yeah. And the last one, of course, pilots, the driver. Then for higher education in aviation, a lot of possibilities. I've seen in the short video in the beginning, somebody wants to be aerospace engineering. It's not really aviation, but you can have this aerospace engineering also. I mean, it's not really like transportation, but space engineering. And the other one is aviation business management. So being in the aviation industry is not necessarily to be a pilot or cabin crew, but you can find some courses like aviation business management and human factors psychology in aviation. For example, my son now is studying human factors psychology in aviation in US. It's totally psychology, not totally psychology, because human factors is about economic psychology, and I don't remember what another one. And then aeronautical engineering. This aeronautical engineering, if you compare with aerospace engineering, is more about the aircraft. It's not about the airspace. Yeah. Some other subjects also as transport management and airport management, okay, and etc. Of course, the universities and colleges. what I've listed here, I've listed both in Indonesia also and in abroad. In Indonesia, we have some universities which offers major in aviation. For example, Institut Teknologi Bandung, they have teknik mesin with teknik penerbangan, also Poltek Negeri Bandung. Both are government universities, and for private universities, there are Universitas Nurtanio dan Sekolah Tinggi Teknologi Adi Sucipto, but I believe they just changed their name, but still like University Adi Sucipto. Okay. Another one is Universitas Surya Dharma in Jakarta.
Mas ya, pilot ya. Yang habis ini dokter.
Maaf, Om Fadjar. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yes, sorry.
Is it muted? Yeah, sorry. For aviation management, there are three actually. I forgot to list one of the university. It is University of Indonesia, Universitas Indonesia, and STPI Curug now become PPI Curug, something. They just changed the name, but it's both are a government school, and the private school offer who offer the management penerbangan is Universitas Trisakti. Okay. Abroad, of course, plenty of them. One of the I can say one of the quite famous in US private universities, Embry-Riddle. They have 4 bases, 4 campuses in US, and including the online courses as well. Okay, and the government, the state university, for example, is University of North Dakota, and in UK you have Cranfield University. And now, how to choose the right institution? Of course, if you choose to study in Indonesia, you have to check for accreditation, because some of the institution doesn't have accreditation from the government, and you check the cost. Well, for example, the Embry-Riddle in US going to cost approximately $17,000 to $20,000 per semester for total of 8 to have a bachelor for the undergraduate. And living costs, of course, is going to be different from one to other, you know. And online courses might be cheaper, can take it anywhere. You only some of the university require you to sit in a class at least every 3 months, so you have to travel to the place to have the class. Some of the university, they have also 100% online courses, so you don't have to attend any classes. Only the graduation, probably you might want to come to have a graduation in the university. And the problem also for the aviation is the job in Indonesia, because not all of the major that you like will be available. The job will be available in Indonesia.
Sorry, Fadjar, we've got 2 more minutes. If that's okay with you.
Okay, yeah, it's almost there.
Okay.
2 minutes, yeah. For most of the job, for the university degree, you don't have any license, but for air traffic controller, you have to have a license. There are 2 institutions in Indonesia offer you the license. For the overseas, there is if you have a license overseas, if you go back to Indonesia, it doesn't count. So you have to do all the exams again. And for mechanic engineers, EASA, this European license, is most popular license. If you can take it, I mean, in Indonesia, you can have some job with EASA license. And you need specialization of airframe, power plant, avionics, and no higher academic education required. In Indonesia, only one or three institutions can offer you this license. Yeah. Overseas, a lot of institutions offer you this license, but will be valid only in the country only the license in that country. Yeah, and dispatcher, flight operation officers is also a course, and you're gonna get the license. Institution, a lot of institutions to offer dispatcher courses, and overseas again the same thing. You have to convert your license in Indonesia. Cabin crew, you don't have to take any courses or any study in any institution, because when you apply to airline, the airline gonna provide you with the training. Okay, the benefit of being a cabin crew is relatively high salary with minimum training cost, but unfortunately, not all the airline will provide these careers, long-term career, especially for Asians. Yeah, aviation security is the same thing, short courses. Loadmaster, helicopter operation officer, short courses also. No high academic education, but low demand, low salary. Pilots, quickly, short courses, 8 to 14 months, no high academic education required, minimum age, actually 16 to 18, depend on the country of training. At the moment, low demand, high competition, there is high supply. In Indonesia, we have 2,000 plus pilots jobless after graduating from pilot school. To join an airline, you have to have at least commercial pilot license, and the education, the training costs approximately 55,000 is the cheapest one, up to $80,000 US. And when you join the company, then the company gonna give you the aircraft to fly, and then you have to have we call it type rating. So after you graduate from flying school, you have to have a training in Boeing or Airbus. And another cost, unfortunately now with the low job demand, you have to pay for this also. Yeah. And if you take the training in a foreign country, then you have to convert your license. Okay, total cost in Indonesian rupiah is 1 to 1.5 million rupiah. Billion actually. And in Indonesia, there are many flying school at the moment. Of course, you can choose one of them if you are interested to be pilot. Overseas, 4,000 flying school in US, 1,000 more in Europe. Sorry. After you finish the pilot course, you can take instructor rating for 3 months, or airplane type rating. It's all the cost. And after you collect 1,500 hours, you can get the airline transport license. Okay. This is license of pilot, private pilot license, only private flying, cannot be paid for professional work, and commercial pilot license could be instructor, crop dusting, a taxi, scenery flight, joy flight, co-pilot and be commuter, and then airline transport pilot is to be a captain in a plane more than 5,700 kilogram, and type rating instructor, type rating examiner. That's it. I hope it's not more than it is more than 2 minutes, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't worry. Thank you very much. That was a lot of information about aviation.
Yeah.
Career, and thank you very much for sharing your experience. I hope for those who are wanting to pursue that field, they can ask the questions in the comment sections. Thank you very much, Fadjar, for that talk.
Sama-sama. Terima kasih.
I will now pass it on to Alpha for our next speaker.
Thank you, Rahma. Okay, Yes, so our next speaker is Bu Nurul Itqiyah Hariadi. She studied medicine at the, graduated from the Faculty of Medicine from UI, Universitas Indonesia. And since then, she has gone to the US to train and to work, starting from Children's Hospital in Michigan, and then continue study and training in University of California and also University of Michigan. She also is an author, so she co-authored a book called Berteman dengan Demam, published in 2017. And she is also involved in many publications and other presentations and other talks. So let me please welcome Bu Nurul to speak and share her experiences. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the organizer to give me actually the time to share my experience. Dia is actually my friend in med school, so and she's actually more than qualified to just give you this talk. But she was like, "Well, let's just hear from someone else outside the UK." I was very impressed by Pak Desra, Om Desra, about his experience so far, and also Captain Fadjar. So I hope my sharing will also give you a little bit of information. It may not be as inspirational as Om Desra's presentation, but maybe it will either give you a spark of interest in medical field, or kind of like make you feel like, oh, okay, this is possibly a path for me. I'm gonna share a screen. I don't have much information on my screen, but let me just share. Okay. So let me just change it into present. Can you hear and see this okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I think my section is supposed to be biomedical or medicine and allied health career. Sorry, I am a medical doctor, so I think I won't be able to go into much details like Captain Fadjar on different careers in health, but let's just start. So first, the organizer asked me to share how I got to this point. I'm not going to go into details about like med school, because if you guys are interested to be a physician, to be a doctor, your system in the UK will probably be much different from in Indonesia. So I'm not going to go into details for that, but I was born actually to a family of teachers. So my mom was an elementary school teacher until she retired a couple years ago. My grandfather, paternal grandfather, was also a teacher. So I was actually coming from a family of teachers. I always wanted to be a doctor, but that was not my only aspiration. So like Om Desra, I also wanted to be a lot of things. So I actually wanted to be an architect. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a fashion designer even, and then. That always evolved. So from elementary school to middle school to high school. So one aspiration that never changed is to be a doctor. And actually also a teacher, but those two. So when I so for you out there who are like still not sure of what you guys want to do, that's completely okay. Especially if you're still in your mid-teen years. Even when I applied for, not applied, when I did my, in Indonesia, there is a national university entrance exam. So even until I did that, I was still choosing like medicine was my first choice, but then architecture was my second choice. Now I wanted to share something during that time. I actually was not accepted in any programs I applied to during my first time with the national university entrance exam in Indonesia. So the first year I was not accepted at all. So I actually and my family was not that well off enough to send me to a private university. In Indonesia, private university is usually much more expensive, especially if you go to private medical school. So I spent 1 year kind of like trying to study more. I actually, just like Desra suggested, I actually took up French at that time, which I continued until I was in med school. Unfortunately, I'm not using it enough to keep it very fluent. I'm still able to read, but I'm not very good with speaking anymore. Anyway, so I took some other courses too, in addition to studying for the national exam the second time. So the second time I took the national exam, I got in. And the reason why I wanted to share about that is I want you to kind of like to know that, you know, people face obstacles, people face failures, and it's not a reason for you to be in despair about it. If life gives you lemon, then you make lemonade, right? So try to get the best out of every situation that life throws at you. So I actually went to the US because my husband at that time was studying for his PhD at California Institute of Technology. So I went to the US. I came to the US in late 2004. My husband has been very, very supportive. So from the beginning, because he knew that I wanted to be a pediatrician, and by bringing me to the U.S., then I wouldn't be able to do my pediatric specialty residency in Indonesia. So he was very supportive. I took some like preparation courses to do the licensing exams in the U.S. Now, the licensing exam in the U.S. are basically the same exams the U.S. Med school graduates do. So there is no difference. We don't have to do additional exams as foreign medical graduates. The only thing is we have to make sure that our medical school courses are accepted. So there is one committee that basically will kind of like will evaluate that, and everything is basically from there on. It's the same thing like how you are if you were a U.S. medical school graduate. So I did my pediatric residency in 2 places. First at Children's Hospital of Michigan in Detroit. For a year, and then I transferred to pediatric residency at UCLA. So here in the US, I'm not sure about the UK, but the pediatric residency lasts for 3 years. And then during the pediatric residency, I was very interested in infectious diseases. So I continued that with fellowship in pediatric infectious diseases for another 3 years in Michigan, University of Michigan. So one more thing that I wanted to share, and this is again about like how life always gives you some challenges. So I was when I did my pediatric residency, the first year I was in Michigan, and my husband was still in California because he was doing his PhD. The initial plan was to, at that time we have had a daughter. She was around 1 year of age. So at that time, the initial plan was to bring my mom over here to kind of like just help me with the care, but for a lot of reasons, it didn't happen. So we actually had to kind of like send our daughter to live with my parents, so with her grandparents for a year in Indonesia, and that was very, very hard. So in the U.S., for residency, you made choices of what you wanted, what programs you wanted to go to. You rank them, and then you basically will get matched with one of your choices. You don't have any control over like which choices that you were gonna get. So that's why we ended up like I was living in Michigan and my husband was in California. Anyway, because that was very hard on us as a family, we tried really, really hard to figure out a solution. So by the grace of Allah, that's how I got transferred to University of California, Los Angeles, so at UCLA. So that way we were able to bring back our daughter to the US after that 1 year. So we lived as a family together again. And so that's another challenge during my how I got to this point. And then after that, as a foreign graduate, if you study for medical residency in the US, you're supposed to go back to your home country for 2 years before you can go back again to the US. So this is why there is another phase of Indonesia over here. So I was in Indonesia for a couple of years. And when I was there, I work at a medical school, actually, as a faculty in medical education. So I work at Atmajaya University. Now, that was also another challenge for us as a family, because at that time we have had our son. So he was also around 1, and because my husband was in the US at that time doing his postdoc career. I actually went back to Indonesia for 2 years with my son, while my daughter stayed in the US with my husband. So we did a long distance relationship as a family for a couple of years, which was also very hard for us. We actually tried to explore some possibilities of launch our career, my husband and I both, in Indonesia, but things didn't work out so well. So we went back to the US, and I've been here since then. I'm now working as a pediatrician. Now, let me see. So what I like the most about my profession, I think the first thing is I think it is a profession that that makes a difference for health and well-being of the children, and also for the families of the children, actually. So that's kind of like that's given, because when you're in medicine, that's what you're expected to do. But I'm also thinking, just and Desra, this is I kind of like, I think we have similar perspective about our profession. So I think often I am the first Muslim my patients have ever seen in their life. So I think it is a good opportunity for me as a Muslim to also kind of like introduce them to a Muslim, and kind of like from there, maybe even the first planting the first seed of recognizing diversity, respecting others for their different cultures, their different beliefs, and also fostering tolerance. So that what I think is also an important thing from my how I do my profession. I've had a lot of little children asking me, because I mean, little children are very innocent. They just ask what they have in their minds. So they ask me, "What's that on your head? Why do you wear that?" So I take that as an opportunity to introduce Islam and introduce a Muslim to their life. The second thing is it's very humbling. So sometimes we think we have this perception like, oh, doctor knows so much, but we actually don't. And then I cannot give you enough examples of how much I learn from my patients, from their resilience, from the family's resilience. So it's truly a humbling experience. And it's also humbling because sometimes you try your very best and you just don't get the result that you want. Sometimes you feel like this is something out of your hand, but actually things turn out to be much better than you expect. So it's just very humbling. It reminds us that yes, we can make all the efforts in the world, but it's Allah who will make the decision. Now,
sorry, Tante.
Also, I like.
Sorry, Tante.
Yes.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So, and also the other aspect is it's a lifelong learning, which I like because it keeps us on our toes. And lastly, because I'm studying pediatrics, so it's really applicable to my own family. Now the challenges for us, Indonesian diaspora living abroad, is of course balance is always a challenge, because unlike in Indonesia, we don't have the luxury of having an assistant helping us, or a driver and all that. So we have to balance all that. As Muslim, we face higher scrutiny and higher expectations in our job, in any job that you choose, really. For medical professionals, we have some country or region limitations. So for example, if I want to work in the UK, then I will have to take like their licensing exams again. The same thing if you're from the UK going to work in the US. And for some people, lifelong learning could be a challenge, but for me, I actually enjoy it because it's it keeps me on my toes. It's not always easy to make time for that, but it's worth it. Now, how I contribute back to Indonesia, I think it depends on like what is expected. So, is it to Indonesian community in the US, or is it for people in Indonesia? The most important thing I want to emphasize is you need to keep bridges. So we need if we have some connection to Indonesia, keep it. Until now, I still keep in contact with where I worked before, or where I did some volunteer work before in Indonesia. So just make sure that you don't forget people you've worked with before, because you've never know what future opportunities may hold for you. I think that should be it. I'm not active in social media. I have Facebook, but I honestly rarely open it. But always, if you have any question, email me. This is my email address. I'll try to answer, or I answer all emails. It's just I'll try to answer it as quick as possible. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tante. Yes, that was very insightful. I think the one that was really that really struck me was the fact that many of your patients were the first time. You are the first Muslim that they meet. That's really interesting. I think it's one way that we can sort of spread the message of Islam, to show that us Muslims can be very much integrated into the society and be very successful and become very beneficial as well to society. And also, it's also very interesting to see that behind every success of every person, there are struggles, there are difficult times as well. And it's just very nice to see that, if you fail or you struggle with something, doesn't mean that you should stop. You should keep going. And yeah, inshallah, Allah will lead the way. And maybe one route isn't the best route. Maybe Allah is just telling you to try out a different route. So yeah, it's very inspiring to see the commitment. Okay. I think from here, I will pass back on to Rahma for the next speaker.
Yes, thank you, Alpha. Thank you, Dr. Nurul. Give me a second. Okay.
Oh, yes, sorry, I forgot to say, sorry, Rahma. Yeah, so as usual, if you have any questions for Tante Nurul, please write them in the chat. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Our last speaker is Bapak Himawan Nugroho, and will focus on engineering, computer science, technology, and IT. He is currently the product manager of Google in Zurich, Switzerland, and is the founder of several IT startups. He has a vast experience in the IT field, and he will now share some of his experiences with us. Bapak Himawan Nugroho, would you like us to call you Bapak Himawan Nugroho or Himawan Nugroho?
Him.
Him. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you for having me. I'm supposed to be the last speaker for today, and I'm gonna use slide. Can you all see my slide? Okay.
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. The benefit of being the last person is I can observe what has been told by previous speakers, and I was editing the slide directly to make sure that my messages are not overlap with the previous one. So today I'm gonna share my professional life, but at the same time share some lessons as well, hopefully useful. Okay, let's see. Yeah, just a quick introduction. Yeah, I'm on social media. You can find me on LinkedIn or Twitter, Instagram, the latest social media, Clubhouse. I also own my own YouTube channel, even I didn't update it regularly. If you ask me in one sentence what I do, basically I grow my own startups in the morning. Then I build great products for Google in the afternoon. And at night I'll become an investor for companies in public market and also in private market. I work in multiple roles for Google as a product manager as one, and I also a mentor for Google for startup. This is a program to help startups around the world. I'm also a program manager for Google Cloud as we are trying to build a new data center in Africa. I founded multiple startups. The one that's still running and growing right now is in Jakarta, Indonesia, called Jaudat Technology Indonesia, where my role as a founder, I keep working with them in daily basis to give advice for my executive team. At the same time, I'm responsible to hire everyone to my startup. So I interview everyone basically. Currently, I'm in Zurich, Switzerland. So let's start with this professional life. I graduated in 1999 from ITB, from mechanical engineering. Right? You might ask questions. Why someone who graduated from mechanical engineering now work in IT and work for Google? To answer this, let's go back a few years earlier. In 1994, I was still in high school. I grew up in Medan, and frankly, I didn't know what I wanted to be, right? Like I was normal high school students, right? We spend time every day. I don't know, probably wasting time. But I knew only one thing, that I wanted to travel the world. That's something that always I have in mind. Even I didn't know how to get there, but like, okay, someday I'm gonna travel the world, right? And also I wanted to study in Bandung because my brother was in Bandung. He was in ITB too, and he saw me around a couple of years earlier about ITB. So I said, oh, okay, it looks cool. So I wanted to be there, right? Now, here's the thing. In 1994, we didn't have internet, right? So it was hard to find information about ITB. My brother was an architect, so I didn't want to be an architect like him, and I didn't know what was the other option, basically. So, when you don't have information, what kind of information that you have in hands? What kind of source of information that you can trust? Your friends, rumors, right? And there was a rumor at the time, like, oh, most of the students from my high school wanted to go to electrical engineering, information technology, and so on. It will be hard for me to compete. So because of those rumors, I feel like, oh, okay, let me pick something that, it's still great, but less competition from my high school. So I pick up mechanical engineering, right? And then once I joined, I realized, oh, this is actually something that I didn't like, right? I hate it, to be honest. And it's shown in my GPA, basically. My GPA was not great, especially the first year. So that's the first lesson that I would like to share, that information is a very powerful tool. At that time, there was not many information available. Today, we have too many information, right? We are overloaded, basically. So it's a very important skills to have, is to learn how to navigate the information, which one we can trust, which one fake news, and so on. So that's lesson number one. Okay. Alhamdulillah, thank God, I was able to graduate after 5 years. For engineering degree in ITB, at that time, graduating in 5 years is actually already quite good, especially if you don't like the subject, right? So I managed to graduate, and my GPA was not great, but also not really bad. Like it's less than 3 out of 4. It's close to 3, yeah. But here's the thing: when I graduated in 1999, it was hard for me to find a job as a mechanical engineer. Why? 2 reasons. One, the economic situation in Indonesia was bad at the time. Our former president, Suharto, just stepped down 1 year earlier. So we were in crisis. So not many jobs opening available. And then second, I found that I didn't have any competitive advantage compared to other graduates, right? And imagine if you graduate without anything else, no life experience, no professional experience, no second language, like Om Desra said, right? Nothing. You're just like, okay, you graduate from ITB, but I was not the only one. There were like hundreds every year who graduate from ITB. And I had to compete not only with them, I also had to compete with other students from let's say, University of Indonesia, from University of Gajah Mada, and so on. We were trying to get into the job market when it was a hard time and I didn't have competitive advantage, right? So even as a company, when they try to filter fresh graduates, if they cannot find something special from you, then they will look at something that's common between everyone so they can compare, which is a GPA, right? So I remember I applied to this company, Schlumberger. It's a large oil company. They came to ITB. I applied, and they didn't even look at my resume, right? They didn't even give me a chance for interview because my GPA was less than 3. So they accepted only those who had more than 3, and given the opportunity for the interview. I didn't get into that slot. So I was unemployed for several months, and that's the time when I decided to go to IT, because IT was booming in Indonesia, and IT didn't really look at your bachelor degree, right, at that time. They look at more to what the real expertise that you have, okay? So I spent my time to study different aspect of IT, and in IT, they have a professional certification from different companies. For example, they used to have, until they still have it right now, but at that time they used to have a certification from Microsoft to show that you are able to work on their products. So I learned Microsoft. I took their certification, and there was also certification from Cisco. Cisco is #1 networking company in the world. So I took the certification from Cisco, and so on. And guess what? 6 months later, after Schlumberger refused to give me opportunity even for interview, because now I came back to them and I said, hey, Schlumberger, I graduated from mechanical engineering. My GPA is not great, but I do have this certification in my hand. What do you think? They offered me an interview, and I got my first job in Schlumberger as an IT engineer, right? So this is the second lesson that I would like to share today, is like, compete with your strength, basically. Don't try to improve your weakness. I was not able to improve my weakness. Like if I wanted to compete with GPA, definitely I will not be able to go back to ITB and say, hey, I want to extend my study, or give me a second chance to fix my GPA. I don't think that was possible, and I don't think it was worth it, right? So I identified the opportunity. I found that, okay, at that time I had the certification from Cisco that probably there were only like 200 people in Indonesia who had it. So that was my strength. That's why Schlumberger offered me that opportunity, right? So I joined Schlumberger as an IT engineer in oil company organization. So after a year, I realized, hey, if I want to work in IT, I needed to work in a real IT company, right, where the main business is IT. So when IBM came and they offered me opportunity to join, I jumped ship to IBM, still in Jakarta at that time. And when I was in IBM, I took another certification in Japan, in Tokyo. I remember this is one of the toughest certification in the world at that time. There were only 5,000 people in the world who had it, and I was one out of 20 in Indonesia. So when you have something very unique like this, right, you don't need to apply for a job, right? Many companies will come to you and say, hey, you are one of 5,000 in the world, or even one of 20 in Indonesia. Why don't you join our company? So I got a lot of job offers from Singapore, from Philippines, from Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai. And of course, I was young, I was naive. I picked the one that can give me the most money, right? And it was in Dubai. The company didn't even interview me, by the way. They called me and just offered me a job. The vice president called me and said, Himawan, if you want, we just send you an offer letter. No interview, nothing. You just sign it and we'll send you a flight ticket and come here and join us in Dubai. Their salary was really, really good. It was like more than 10 times my salary in Dubai, my salary in IBM in Jakarta. So I look at all the job offers and oh, okay, let's pick this one so I can get rich quicker, right? I was naive, so yeah, that's what I did, right? And it turned out to be a big mistake because the company was bad, to say the least, right? The culture was bad. The way they treat the employees were bad. Now they are no longer exist. So that's the proof that they are a bad company, right? And yeah, I was suffering. I didn't enjoy my job. Even the money was really, really good. I was able to buy a sport car in Dubai. I was able to live a luxury life. But then the one thing that I really miss was time, because I was so busy. The customers are so demanding. The company didn't support me at all. If the customer are complaining, I had to deal with the customers myself. So basically, I lost a lot of time. I didn't have time for myself to grow. I didn't have time myself to study. And if you are in IT, just like Bu Nurul said just now, it's a lifelong learning kind of profession, right? You always need to study because there is something always new, right? Now there is a machine learning, AI, blockchain, everything that was not there during my time when I started. So I didn't have time, but I got a lot of money. But this is the next lesson that I would like to share. Like, never ever exchange our time with money. It's not worth it. Really, it's not worth it, right? I spent 4 years with them because of my contract. It's very close to slavery. They have my passport. I couldn't travel outside the country. It was so bad. But yeah, I learned my lesson. I will never again exchange my time with money. So Alhamdulillah, again, God is great. Gave me opportunity to join Cisco in 2006. But I had to move to Singapore. Yeah.
We have 2 more minutes left.
Okay. So I was in Singapore, and then guess what? I was offered back to go back to Dubai in 2008, right? To work for a customer in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And here's the thing: when I was in Cisco is a great company. It's really great. It's really great. But sometimes they can be unfair when they do deals because they are the best networking products company in the world. Literally, internet are run on Cisco products, right? So sometimes they are not fair with the deal, and I saw this firsthand. I didn't like it, right? I didn't like it. So when I was still in Cisco, I started, doing the side hustle. I started founding few companies, and one that until now is still around is Jaudat, right? So that's my next lesson, right? If you don't like something with your life, something with your job, do something, right? Don't just, whine about it. Don't, curcol on social media, especially go to Facebook and say, oh, I hate my life. No, that's not useful, right? Do something about it. So I didn't like what Cisco doing to my customers. So I started a company, right? But again, Cisco is a great company. The moment they realized I was more interested in business, they offered me MBA for free. So I took an MBA in Manchester. It was fully paid by Cisco, including all the flights to Manchester, back and forth, and also to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil to do my thesis and so on. It was a great company. And then 2015, I wanted to go back to Indonesia because my company was growing. So I wanted to go back to Indonesia, but then I got offered to join Google. And because I had a daughter who was in the last year of high school, she wanted to go to the university. And I decided, okay, let me go to Google so she can study in Zurich University at the same time. So that's the next lesson is we always need to have a plan, yeah, but sometimes we need to be flexible, right? A wise man said failure to plan is planning to fail, right? So we always have to plan, okay, I wanted to join Google because I want to do something. I want to learn about their culture because the culture is great and so on. So here I am still in Google. As you can see in the beginning, I work in multiple roles, right? And then you might be asking, why is that? Why I keep myself busy in the morning? I usually have a meeting with my team in Indonesia, and then I work for Google. My team in Google is in the US, so I work from lunchtime until night, and at night I'm investing in different companies, right? Because time is precious. We have only limited time, and when we are forced to do multiple things within the same time, then we need to learn how to prioritize, right? So I'm okay to be busy every day doing different things, because it forced me to think about, when I wake up, it forced me to think about what is the most important thing I need to do, right? Okay, and then this is the last slide. Basically, every journey has an end, right? And of course, as a Muslim, our ultimate goal is to have a good ending, right? Husnul Khotimah, that's the ultimate target for each of us. We don't know when will it come. So my last lesson today is, until the death comes, which is certain, everyone will die. Let's try to make impacts, right? Let's try to make impacts as much as we can, right? Impact to the family, to the community, and so on. So that's my last lesson for today. I hope it's useful. And just to close the session, I want to show something. Like, this is Google Office perks. You may have heard that Google provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the office. They also have a fitness center, gaming room, even a swimming pool, bowling alley, if you are in the US, for example. Massage, like here in Zurich office, we have a massage room. Yeah, this swimming pool is from Ireland office, right? Of course, the last time I went to Google office was 6 months ago, because now we cannot go to the office due to the pandemic. But they provide us enough money to spend, not on the left. For example, my workstation at home is on the right. They provide money to do this. But even with all these facilities, if you ask me which one I prefer to be here, right? With my team in Jakarta. This is my startup. We are now close to 30 employees. Our customers are telecommunication company like Telkomsel, Telkom, and so on. And we built a product that we feel like fair for them. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope it's useful. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. That was a really, really interesting presentation about the 7 lessons in the journey of life. So you can see from Himawan, there are lots of obstacles in life, but inshallah, if you pursue your dream, you will inshallah achieve your target. Before we move on to the Q&A section, question and answers, I think we plan to take a screenshot. Is that correct, Alpha?
Yes, so we'd like everyone, it's a bit like a group photo, so yes. If possible, could everyone turn their videos on, if possible?
If possible.
Yeah, and inshallah, I believe Suhendri is going to take the photo. Is that correct, Suhendri?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, ready all? There are 4 pages here.
Yes.
The first one, give your best smile. 1, 2, 3. And second one, second page. Third page. Last one. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We will now move on to our Q&A section. As I can see on the comment, if I'm not wrong, the first question is from Krishna Adiyarini. Excuse my pronunciations. The first question is for Desra. This person said, "Thank you for your inspiring story. It's really an honor." Her question is, I would like to ask about the biggest challenge that you would have experienced in your career, and how could you manage those things? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ananda Krishna, for the question. Before responding to the question, let me also express my sincere thanks to Fadjar, Tante Nurul, and also Himawan. I think very inspiring. I am also learning from what you have shared with us. Perhaps, Himawan, we could swap job. You can travel all over the world, and then I can make money in your position. So that would be nice, isn't it, Himawan? But always neighbor's garden is always looking greener than others, right? Because when I see you, I see also Dr. Nurul and Fadjar. What a nice job. I think you might also think I have a nice job, but that's just the way it is. Thank you, Ananda Krishna. The biggest challenge for me, I think I can give 2 examples. Being far away from the family. I went to New York as ambassador to the United Nations, New York in the US on the 16th of January, 2012. Then my mom passed away on the 23rd of January on the same year. I think this was one of my biggest challenge. I couldn't go home. In this case, I think how to overcome, just being patient, sabar, give a dua. And at the last, I always do is take a deep inhale and say, Allahu Akbar. There is none greater than God. Then you will feel relief. Secondly, when I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1986, I came from Malang. I grew up in Surabaya. The first time I met colleagues from Jakarta, they are overconfident, right? I have never heard people talking like, lu gue. No, for me in Malang and Surabaya, kamu, saya, anda, right? Never heard of lu gue. They spoke English very well. But what I knew it and what I learned, I have to beat them. I have to be very competitive, and I have to be different than them. For that reason, it motivated me to continue my study, taking a master and taking PhD. And also, more than that, taking a French. Hopefully, je vais parler en français avec Dr. Nurul après. Dr. Nurul, parce que je pense que vous parlez français bien.
Just un seul mot.
See, it's beautiful language, very, very, very important. I think, when you are faced by problem or challenge, how to overcome it, depending what kind of challenge and what kind of problem. But at the end of the day, I think I like the comment from Himawan, we have to be husnul khotimah. Don't forget, life is only a transition towards the life after, which is more eternal. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Desra. Alpha, I think I saw in the comments that Fadjar is gonna Salat Maghrib, and there is a question from Rizky in the comment section.
Okay.
In Indonesian, so I think you're probably better.
Should I not read it in order? Or okay, I'll just
I think it's for Fadjar. It's before he goes to Salat.
Okay, sure. Yeah, okay, no problem. Okay, so this is from Rizky Akbar. Okay, Assalamualaikum, Kapten Fadjar. Izin bertanya, apakah ngambil master di bidang aviasi seperti contohnya master di Aviation, Aviation Management atau Human Factor in Aviation akan dibutuhkan atau memiliki prospek baik ke depannya bagi karir seorang pilot? Kapten ambil master di bidang aviasi juga kah? Salam Kapten, saya salah satu anggota grup ilmuterbang.com. Itu. Fadjar. Okay, maybe he's already left.
Okay, that's fine. Yes.
Okay, no problem.
We'll go back to Hasna.
Okay, shall I read that one then?
Or yes.
Okay, so this one is for Desra again. So thank you, Desra, for such an inspiring presentation. My name is Hasna, a senior in high school coming from Jakarta. I would like to ask you a question. During your career journey, you have visited a number of countries with different cultures and environments, and you must have encountered cultural lags or cultural shocks. As someone who has been going places abroad, I can imagine how it can be hard to adjust, transition, and relate with new cultures. How do you relieve and reconnect with your Indonesian identity abroad? And how do you think the experience of being in contact with diverse cultures have shaped you as a person? And how does it help you advance your career?
Thank you very much, Ananda Hasna, for the very good question. First, you have to know exactly where you're coming from. From Indonesia, and also being a Muslim, you have your own value. That's very important. Stick to your identity. That's very important. Never ever carried away with other cultures. I know millennials now like K-pop, drama Korea, etc. Don't forget, don't carry it away with those values. For example, if you are about to travel, or at least when I was about to travel to one the countries, then I have to do my homework. I have to know exactly the habits, the custom, and the culture. For example, when I went to Fiji, I learned about their culture, and they do have a traditional welcoming of drinking kava. This is a very bitter, made of roots, plantation like cassava. But in order to respect them, you have to drink it. You don't like it, very bitter, but it's without alcohol, don't worry. So I think as long as our value allows, permits, take it, this is to show our respect. I think I like, again, quoting Dr. Nurul, upholding diversity and tolerance is very important. If you want to be respected, then you also respect others. That's very important. Yes, I have been exposed to many cultures and habit, custom. It has helped my career a lot, because when you meet someone from different culture, you know the habit, then you can easily mingle with them. And one of the cultures, certainly language, I think, like you said, we have seen earlier, I can communicate with Dr. Nurul in French. When I meet colleagues from a French-speaking country, many in Africa, then I can easily speak in French. Comment ça va? Comment allez-vous? Vous allez bien? Ça va la vie? This is very important. When you meet a colleague from Saudi Arabia or Arab Middle East country, you can say, Kaif al-hal, Kulu tamam, kois. This is culture as well. When you meet colleague from China, then ni hao ma. I think this is very basic, right? And also if you meet colleagues from Spanish-speaking country, mostly in Latin America, ¿qué tal, cómo estás? Todo bien. So I think this is also part of the culture. And once you have this kind of knowledge, you have this kind of ability, you can easily get what you want from other countries, what you want from another diplomat. So I think it really helped your career. Yes.
Merci beaucoup. That's about the only China.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur. Okay, so I will pass now back to Rahma if you have any more questions.
Yes. As I can see, the next question is from M.A. Rahman. This person asked, how can we become global Indonesian Muslim professional in comparison with just a global professional? I think I'll point this to Dr. Nurul, because she mentioned about the hijab and like Muslim, everything like that. Yes, if that's okay.
Yeah. So I think this is extrapolating from other speakers' explanation and sharing. So it's important for us to, again, like as Desra says, to uphold our values. So we're Muslim. So yes, we should respect other people's values, other people's cultures, but it's important to show that you are a Muslim. So like Desra tells me, I am very impressed, because again, like with the alcohol and wine in formal dinners and all that, for diplomats, I know it's a challenge. for me, especially, for example, during like when I still do on calls, probably Dr. Dia can relate to this. It's sometimes a challenge to find like time to do your prayer in between. Be confident of what who you are. So you are Muslim. So if you need to pray, to take a little bit of time to pray, say it, to your teacher, to your colleagues, to your supervisor at work, for example. We often are scared of the idea of, oh my God, I have to actually ask them for like some accommodation, but most people actually will appreciate us more if we have values that we believe in, and we kind of like we hold on to them, as long as we also respect other people's and their values. So I think that's really important. Now the other thing, as I said in my sharing earlier, because we are a minority, especially in Western countries, we are sometimes unfairly held to higher standards. So that should also be our motivation to do our job as best as we can, because, some other colleagues may get away with doing a little mistake, but not for Muslims, especially if you wear hijab on your head. Everybody can point, that is the doctor. So I think that's a challenge, but also it's a motivation for us. So be proud that you're a Muslim, show that you're a Muslim, uphold your values.
That's absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for the answer. Alpha, should we go back to, I think Fadjar is back now, so should we go back to Rizky's question?
I think we only have one more question in store, so I've been asked to do just one more question from Rifa, if that's okay.
Yes, I think Rizky's question hasn't been answered.
Okay, well, I think I've just been told I can only do one question, and this one I have to delegate it to Rifai. So yeah, I will do. Yes, so I will have to do. Sorry, I know there are many questions, but we only have time for Rifai here. So this one's back to Tante Nurul. Yes, so Tante Nurul, my little brother is asking on what is the most important thing that we need to do to be pediatrician. He is now in grade 6 and eager to be a pediatrician. There you go.
Okay. That's very nice to hear a brother who's actually interested in becoming a pediatrician, because most pediatricians nowadays, more and more, are female, and we really need good role models like male pediatricians. So that's very amazing. So I think because you have to love what you do. So the first thing, the most important thing, is that you have to actually enjoy working or interacting with kids. I didn't know I wanted to be a pediatrician when I wanted to be a doctor. So from when I wanted to be a doctor until I got to med school. But once I got in med school, we did rotation in different departments. I realized that I felt the most comfortable, the most rewarding experience was my experience with children. So I think that's one of the most important thing to become a pediatrician, is that you have to actually love interacting with kids, working with them. Now, I think your brother is probably still a little too young to understand, but later it's important to also realize that if you become a pediatrician, you don't only manage your patient, you manage their family, because most pediatric patients are still minors, right? So they still need their parents, their guardians to make decisions for them, or at least to kind of like show them options. So it's important to realize that you will be expected to work with families and not with just your patients. So communication is very, very important. Without communication and working together with the family, what you want to do for the child probably will not be will not come to fruition. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so I've just been told that yes, so we have a little bit more time, so I'll go back to Rizky's question. If I can just find it 1 second, sorry. Yeah, so this one is for Fadjar. So, okay. Assalamualaikum Kapten Fadjar. Izin bertanya, apakah mengambil master di bidang aviasi, seperti contohnya master di Aviation Management atau Human Factor in Aviation, akan dibutuhkan atau memiliki prospek baik kepadanya bagi karir seorang pilot? Kapten ambil master di bidang aviasi juga kah? Salam Kapten, saya salah satu anggota grup ilmuterbang.com. Ya, silakan.
Terima kasih pertanyaannya. Udah kedengaran ya? Saya ini unmute. Ya. Terima kasih pertanyaannya. I'm not taking any master degree at the moment. I'd like to, but quite difficult with my job now, with my schedule also. But I'm thinking to get one of the degree. But as a pilot, actually, we don't need any degree to fly. But any degree will help you to understand how to, to give you more understanding of how they. There are two things in the question: human factors and management. Okay, if one pilot want to be in management in the company, the master degree will be very helpful. But the other major like human factors, it's an interesting major for a pilot to study, because we study about ourselves, and in aviation, human factors is about how we learn from accidents because of the human factors, not errors, but human factors. And basically, yes, if you take any degree, then it will give you some thing in your career. But as a pilot, we don't need that degree. And there is one interesting thing about my job here in Qatar, because in Qatar, I don't know if you know, the citizen of Qatar is, they are like only 700,000, and the population is 2.5 million people. So you can see more immigrant than the locals. And then the other interesting fact also, like in Qatar Airways, the place I work for, there are about 154 nationalities. So the challenge is to work with different cultures, leave alone the Indonesian. I mean, we have some 30, 40 Indonesian pilots. They are from Jawa, Sunda, Ambon. We come from different cultures, and then we come here, and of course we got a cultural shock, which make us, which makes the work harder to face. So all the knowledge can help you, like the knowledge of human factors can help you to do the work in multicultural place like Qatar Airways. Saya kira seperti itu, mungkin kalau ada pertanyaan selanjutnya.
Terima kasih banyak, Fadjar. Yes, we will have one more question from Dio Yanuar. This is for Himawan. Assalamualaikum. My name is Dio. Thank you, Him, for your 7 professional principles to us. How do you learn? What are the tips and tricks to study for being the first person to become a triple CCIE in Indonesia. You seem to be learning very fast because we have to need to do lifelong learning as an IT professional. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, just to set a context, CCIE is the certification from Cisco, the toughest one, and they have 7 or 8 tracks, and I did pass 3, and I was the first one in Indonesia who did that. When I passed that, I was one out of 600 in the world who were able to do that. But the question is about how to learn. I mean, for me, because my background is not IT, so everything in IT is so interesting, right? Because imagine I spent 5 years learning mechanical engineering, thermodynamics, heat transfer, and so on, which is really, really tough. Yeah, I'm not saying it's easy. It was really tough for me to graduate. Then I have to dump all of this when I switch to IT, right? I become a newbie again in IT, which is sometimes a good thing, right? Since everything is new, everything is interesting, and I think that's the key. Basically, you need to be really like this field. You really not only like, I think you need to love it, because I remember I used to study until Fadjar, right? Until Subuh time. That's normal. When I was young, that's what I did. Right? I used to sleep less, only a few hours a day, and study. Not because I had to, but because I really love it, right? So I think that's the message. And once we get used to this, learning something new, like sometimes ago, I decided to become an investor in stock market, for example. And I spent time to study about it, right? I read a lot of books. I opened a lot of YouTube videos and so on, subscribe to so many subscription service to understand. And this is something that it's hard if you don't like it or if you don't love it, right? So if you really love this and you really believe like, oh, this is something that I want to do, I think it will make it easier to learn anything. So yeah, that's for me. That's the key. Hopefully, it's useful.
Thank you very much, Himawan. I think for the direct message, I have one more, but I'm not sure if we have enough time, Alpha.
No, I don't think we have enough time, unfortunately.
For those who would like to contact these speakers, they've already mentioned their contact details. For example, Tante Nurul, she provided her Gmail account. Desra, he provided his Instagram account. Himawan, he provided his LinkedIn account. So apologies for those whose question has not been answered. If you would like to contact them, I'm sure there's like the website of Fadjar, ilmuterbang.com, and how you can reach out to them. Thank you very much for your questions and answers from the speakers.
Yes, so I think we're just about to wrap up. So I'm just going to try and summarize everything that we've learned today. So yes, so as you can see, there are members of our community, our Indonesian community, our Ummah, who have gone on to become from pretty much every field, every successful field in the career world. And there are some very important lessons to learn. So again, I can't specify all of them, but for example, we learned from Desra that we should be proud and brave about being Muslim, that we should be proud that about our beliefs. This is also from Dr. Nurul as well, actually, right? So we need to be able to say, okay, can I please pray, or I can't drink alcohol. And I think most people respect that. So it's just about us. We have to be brave and bold, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. We also learned about some of the principles we have to hold in life. We've learned about that life is a continuous learning journey. But you're also young, so we have many young people in this chat today, and your possibilities are endless. So don't let anything get in your way. Just stick to your principles. So stick to the fact that you are a strong in your deen, that you are good Muslims, the fact that you are committed to your dreams, and inshallah, the rest is up to Allah. That's about it from me. Is there anything else you want to add, Rahma?
No, that was a really, really good one. You've basically captured everything in your inspirational message. I would say, don't worry if you don't know where you're going at the moment with your career path. You still have many journeys to come along. As Himawan stated, he started with bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Even though that's not what it was in the end, because he's in IT now, it's okay. You will learn along the way, and inshallah you will find what you want by the end of the journey. Yes, I think we'll pass this on to Faiz.
Yeah, thank you everyone for the great talks. Thank you to Alpha and Rahma for leading the discussion, and thank you for all the speakers for the talking about the experiences. Thanks for everyone for all the inspiring and interesting talk. We hope that it'll be useful for everyone who listen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us and make it easy for us to navigate our future, and to be a Muslim who benefits the Ummah and the world. And so I think we can end it here on with this dua. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Thank you for everyone for coming, and the presentation is over. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.